Alright, so this is going to be a review of Daredevil Decalogue. Now, first off, before I go into the review, I actually want to talk about how I got this. I did not get this in trade. I got this in the 5-part story covering from Daredevil number 71 to 75 in separate issues at a flea market, and the comics were only $2 a piece. So I got all 5 for about $10. So yeah, I got the original 5 covers. This is arguably I haven't read a lot of Daredevil comics. Now, I do love the character of Daredevil. I think he's very cool, but I don't read a lot of his comics because there's a lot of continuity to his books. And there's a lot of, noirish storytelling, and people always try to change his character a lot. And I'm really looking forward to Mark Waid's run on Daredevil coming this summer. So I thought I'd get into more Daredevil, and everyone tells me, if you're gonna start somewhere, start with either the Frank Miller run or the Bendis and Maleev run. So yeah, as you can tell, this comic was written by Brian Michael Bendis and Alex Maleev. Well, the artwork was done by Alex Maleev. Now, as you all know, Bendis is hit and miss with me these days, because I'm not gonna lie, I don't like his stuff. Yeah, I didn't like his stuff later on in New Avengers. I didn't really like the stuff in New Avengers later on. The early stuff with New Avengers was cool. Early Ultimate Spider-Man, awesome. Later stuff, not so much. But this is where people tell me this is where Bendis his Daredevil run with Maleev is actually where people tell me, this is where he shines the most. And I gotta say, after reading this, wow, I am really looking forward to him and Maleev on Moon Knight. Because if they can do what they did with this, with Daredevil, I am all for that. And Mr. Bendis, if you're somehow listening to this review, wow. Never in my life, I've only had about a total of 4 comic book stories that have ever blown my mind. Only 4 comic book stories have ever blown my mind. Like, I finished reading them, and I put the book down, or finished the story arc, and went, wow. And now it's 5. Daredevil Decalogue is up there with all those other stories, because this story is one of the 5th story to blow my mind. Yeah, it was that good. Now, going into this now, this takes place, from what I got from the previously, because, it said in the previously that this is where Daredevil actually beat down Wilson Fisk and became the kingpin of Hell's Kitchen. And this isn't told through Daredevil's eyes, this is told through a handful of citizens of Hell's Kitchen at a support group at a church. And it is probably, some of the best Bendis is known to be very dialogue-heavy, and sometimes that bothers me with him. Sometimes that bothers me with some of with his comics, but, wow. Whoa. This was some really good dialogue. The character development, and you don't see Daredevil. Daredevil's only mentioned here and there, and as the story progresses, we see all these different characters and how they react. And for those who don't know, this story is actually based around 5 of the 10 commandments. Each story is based around 5 of the 10 commandments. The first story in issue 71, where the story kicks off, is called "I Am Your God." Now, that's the first commandment. I am your God. No, you can put no other gods before me. And what that transitions is that this is where a woman who was a drug addict and a prostitute talks about how Daredevil changed her life and how she supports Matt Murdock, because I forgot to mention that Matt Murdock has also been revealed as Daredevil. I forget that does this take place during Civil War? I can't remember, but yeah, Daredevil's identity has been known, and he actually beats down Wilson Fisk and becomes the kingpin of Hell's Kitchen. And this basically talks about how this woman, how Daredevil changed her life. From being a prostitute to being a citizen of Hell's Kitchen. And she also talks about how she met Daredevil. And it also involves a little-known Daredevil villain known as the Bullet. I don't even know him. But then again, Daredevil had not a lot of well-known rogues, and the Bullet was apparently some hitman that almost killed Daredevil, Matt Murdock once. And it's a good fight. Like, Malev's artwork, Mr. Malev, you are fantastic when it comes to artwork, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you on Moon Knight. This was a very well, like, I was hooked on from issue 1 because I thought, okay, it's going to be a bunch of stories and it's going to read out like this. I'm sorry for the background noise. My mother's talking to someone. When she's done with her story, it then shifts to this man who claims to know more about Matt Murdock than anyone else. And this, we don't know who he is. At first, I assumed that it was one of Daredevil's rogues, like the Jester or something, and it almost feels like that throughout the rest of the story, but I'll get into that in a little bit. But yeah. But moving on to issue 2. Part 2. This is it, which is issue 72. Yeah, this actually didn't feel like it was a part of the story. This one basically chronicles honor your mother and father. This one basically talks about a man who was the son of the man who blew up Matt Murdock's house during the Frank Miller's Daredevil story, Born Again. Yeah, that's the son of the guy who blew up Daredevil's house, and how he's trying to appease his father, who's in jail, by killing Foggy Nelson, which he refuses, and kills the guy he was working for, which was this Russian mob boss, low-level mob boss known as Gregor, who was actually attacked by Elektra. See, all the points are tying in here. This one also has a bit more story to it, but it felt more like it was like an epilogue piece to Born Again. So I found that really, really good. Just a really solid, good story. We still don't know who this man is that's in the building as well, who's talking among the self-help group. But by issue 3, it really starts to pick up. This one's called Thou Shalt Not Lie, and it talks about a man, this woman who was married to a serial killer who Daredevil stopped, and she claimed that she saw a demon talking to him. And this woman was actually the last victim was supposed to be one of the last victims this guy was supposed to kill, but Daredevil saved her. And she basically says, like, no, you're lying. And then this other woman who's sitting actually in the back of the self-help group is it actually says, like, no, she's probably telling the truth because my daughter, before she killed herself, saw the same thing. Now, I don't want to spoil a lot, but there's a lot more in the next 2 parts, and it involves the Jester, but he's not the main villain. He's more or less like a freaking afterthought, because there's another guy sitting in the self-help group. You probably know who it is from the review, but yeah, this was really good. It starts to play out by the end of part 2. Actually, when you read the whole thing together, it feels like like something out of M. Night Shyamalan. Like, only it's good. It's a good M. Night Shyamalan movie, like, on Sixth Sense level. Like, that's how good Bendis is with the writing. It felt like a Shyamalan movie done right. It had a twist, but it was a good twist. And it was a surprising twist. And I really like that twist. I should stop saying that. I should stop saying twist right now. But yeah, this is actually the first big Daredevil story I've read in a long time. And I've just had my mind blown. I have got to get more of the Bendis and Malev Daredevil books, because, my God, was that fantastic. I highly recommend this. In fact, when I read more of the Bendis and Malev Daredevil run, I'm going to review them, because this was really good. This was damn good. This is now the 5th story that's blown my mind. I can't believe I'm kicking myself for not reading the Bendis and Malev Daredevil stuff before, because this was fantastic. I mean, when you can actually get this book, and all you have to know is that Daredevil's currently the kingpin of Hell's Kitchen, and everyone knows his identity. There's a lot more characters. Because I don't want to spoil this. This is a really good story, but I highly recommend it. If you're a fan of Daredevil, or if you're trying to get into Daredevil, pick up the Bendis and Malieve stuff. They do their own stuff, but it ties, or the Frank Miller, like everyone told me, which I'm more than likely going to do. Get the rest of the Malieve's Bendis stuff and the rest of the Miller stuff, because this was freaking awesome. But yeah, I'm done ranting. This was a great book.